Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of the Business B.E.A.R podcast. It's your buddy Connor Norman here, coming at you loud and proud from my studio here in Oakland, Maryland. We're excited to kick off this episode. We've got a great guest in with us from Patriot Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. We'll be hearing from our man Josh Slone here in just a few minutes, but before we go there, let's talk a little bit about what the Business B.E.A.R podcast is if you're tuning in for the first time. If this is your first time listening, welcome. We're happy to have you along as we talk about everything business in Garrett County. On this podcast, you're going to hear from economic development professionals, you're going to hear from our local business owners, and you're going to hear from our movers and shakers in the community that are help driving our economic development, our business retention, and our expansion in the community. So if you want the latest and greatest on what's happening in Garrett County, you have come to the right place, and we encourage you to follow us along on our Garrett County, Maryland Department of Business Development Facebook page. We have a LinkedIn, we have an Instagram, we have an X. Wherever you want to follow us, we have one there. Make sure to look us up at Garrett County Economic Development or Garrett County Business Development. We'd love to have you checking in on us and seeing when the latest Business B.E.A.R podcast drops, of course, and all of the great information we put out there. So before we get started here today, I want to let you guys know that this podcast is endorsed by Garrett County Business Development and Garrett County Government. The opinions of the host and their guest are their own and do not reflect that of either organization. So now that the housekeeping's out of the way, Josh Slone, General Manager of Patriot Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Josh, how are you doing today?
Wonderful. Getting close to Christmas, so exciting time of the year.
I believe we've got the magic in the air. The snow's already on the ground. It might be a little ice later today, but we are excited because, again, it's one of the best times to be in Garrett County, that winter season, and we're going to talk all about that. And maybe for those people looking for those last-minute gifts, maybe I've got a place where they can go to get something really special for somebody. No, it's so good to have you in here, Josh, talking about Patriot today. It's a big institution in our community. You guys have been putting vehicles out there. You guys have been helping local organizations, putting a lot of money into our community for a long time. I understand you've recently taken over as General Manager of Patriot. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your role with the company.
Sure. Yeah. So we're going on roughly 4 months now, give or take. But I stepped in, took an opportunity there to be the GM. And brought in a few extra folks as well. I've got a couple new salesmen and some people in service, and just getting the ball rolling and getting back in with Patriot and getting them back in the forefront there. So really excited. I was super happy and very blessed to be able to come on board with Mark and Paul there. It's a great opportunity, great team, and a really really fun dealership. So it's been a lot of fun and a lot more to come. So.
What's it like stepping into this role, into a new company, kind of setting the tone for the culture? Has that been exciting?
Sure. So, I mean, it was a little bit of a, some things are different, but with my background, for the few folks out there that are listening to this that probably know, I mean, I've spent 10 years with Enterprise Rent-A-Car, so very familiar with cars and, dealing with dealerships and all that sort of stuff and its ins and outs. And then went on to Bill's Marine Service for a few years there, sales manager. So really did the sales thing even more. And then, just recently, obviously, I was a business development manager with Sunrise Sanitation. Took some things from there as well. So, it's a perfect combination of being able to handle, day-to-day simple stuff, but also kind of dig in and really, make things efficient, deal with the car world, deal with sales. I mean, realistically, we jokingly say amongst my team that every day, no matter what you're doing, whether you're selling an item or doing anything, everything's kind of a version of sales.
Yeah.
When you're trying to talk to somebody or be friendly with someone or kind of accomplish anything, it's all communication, and one way or the other, it kind of does push back to sales. You got to sell yourself. You got to sell your, what you're talking about, that sort of thing. So it's been a fun journey so far, and we're coming up really fast and it's very, very exciting. They've got, we've got a great team, and, it doesn't help that you got some amazing owners that really support our team and support our people. And that's the key, communication, doing stuff right. They jokingly say that, come to Patriot and your family. It really is, it's very strong family oriented, and we really strive to take care of customers and do the best we can. And, obviously we're still a business. We have to make money. But we really want that legacy to continue on long after we're gone, is that we know how to take people in and become basically part of their life as far as like this, who they can count on, that's who they can, they depend on. And then from there, it kind of snowballs. And, I mean, what better place when you wake up and you're actually excited to go to work?
Yeah.
That's a big thing for a lot of folks. A lot of folks can't really, appreciate that or experience that. And my goal for my team is to have everybody excited to come in the next day and see what's new. Who can we take care of? Who can we sell a car? Who can we treat right? And take a negative that they've had in the past, whether it be with another dealership or with maybe even with our own, years and years ago or something, and make it right. Get them to know that we're there for them. We're in their corner and make them happy. That's the goal, and that's what we've been able to do so far. And it's been a lot of fun and a lot of good times so far. So I'm sure there's a lot more to come.
I think you practice what you preach. As someone with a little bit of bias here, obviously I've been a customer, happy customer. I got my Ram 1500 sitting outside.
Appreciate
Beautiful vehicle, love it. But my brothers also work for Patriot. You guys have been behind your mission when it comes to customer treatment, when it comes to customer service. I've never had an issue, and I know a lot of people could say the same thing. That whole atmosphere in a dealership has to be one of the most exciting things in the world to people, because they're coming in, they're looking for a new vehicle, and a vehicle can be the doorway to the world.
Absolutely.
Especially in an area like ours where transportation is such a big deal because of the rural nature of our community. Tell us what that experience is like when somebody comes in for the first time. What's the process if they're looking to grab a new vehicle?
Sure. I mean, there's so many scenarios. We've got, obviously, all jokes aside, everybody knows our wonderful jingle. I hope you're able to maybe cut and put a little bit in.
Yeah, maybe I'm going to look at putting it right here.
Yes.
Patriot Motors, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Come to Patriot, four-wheel drive, Taylorland.
Hi, this is Mark and Paul Cornish from Patriot, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram.
And see if it happens.
That would be perfect. So if I'm coming in after that, Paul and Mark came up that we're the king of the four-wheel drive, right? So we saw a lot of all-wheel drive, four-wheel drives. We're one of the top heavy truck dealers in the entire East Coast, honestly, here in the little town of Oakland. The process can be a little bit of everything. We got folks that car maybe breaks down. Maybe they're having an issue. It's kind of the nature of a mechanical item. Got a couple ton, or a ton vehicle that is made of steel and plastic and all aluminum and all kinds of parts. And, in that it's holding a gigantic heavy thing that's also full of other little parts that are having mini explosions a million times, a day. And inevitably stuff breaks down. And obviously being in a remote rural area here in Garrett County, we love it. It's great. Four-wheel drive is required. Obviously we know that from the weather currently, but
yeah.
You gotta have a car to work. We're not a big, gigantic city where you can jump on, a metro or jump on a train. It's not for us. It's not where we live. So an automobile for most folks, I mean, that's your livelihood. So whether your car breaks down, whether you're starting to have some issues, and then, the real fun is when people just, hey, I want an upgrade. I want something nice. I want to, maybe that new feature, that new look, or just that fresh car, or even if, we got plenty of pre-owned, certified pre-owned vehicles. I mean, the process can be anything from coming in with your own banking, or we have lots and lots of lenders that we can deal with. We can run numbers. We give our fair trade. We come in, when you come in with your car in a trade, like we look at what they're selling for, what they're going for, and we kind of base it off of that to make it as fair as we possibly can. We're not really trying to take advantage of anyone. Unfortunately, some dealerships that will stay unnamed across the entire country really like to kind of play this cloak thing where they're trying to hide stuff. And for us, the reason it's exciting and we have fun is we can be honest with folks. We can tell you, like, hey, sorry, this is what your car's worth. You do need tires, you need this, that sort of thing. This is what we're going to have to do to in turn sell this vehicle. But we're going to give you the best bang for your buck, and then we're also going to take care of you on the new vehicle. We're not going to hike that price up insanely high. I mean, this is something that I do every single day. I look across the board. I go on different apps and see where we sit with our vehicles. And if we're too high, I adjust them. With all of our new vehicles, we take them down to invoice. Some dealerships don't do that, or some dealerships will say they do that, but they actually don't. Well, at Patriot, we do, and I really like that. I think it's something that Paul and Mark had instilled. That this is, we would rather sell 50 vehicles and make a little bit versus hold so tight to every little dollar and sell 5.
Yeah.
And through that, you gain that customer, that customer trust, and you also have fun. When the guys are just selling so many cars every day, it's a blast. And I think that's a lot of it. That's a lot of the point of taking care of people and trying to find a way. I mean, that's, we've got, Jay, one of our tenured salesmen. I mean, I think everybody in the county knows Jay. That guy is a master at figuring out how to get things done, and how to get people approved. Because sometimes people are in a hard way. It's a car is a depreciating item. It goes down in value. Some more than others, and also of course how you drive it, that sort of thing. Lots of variables. But getting people in, getting them approved, getting them into another set of wheels. It's a lot of fun. We try to take pictures of everybody. Some folks don't want their picture taken, but we try to take pictures of folks because they're happy. I mean, every single person that you see there with their thumbs up and they're smiling. I mean, we try to make it to where it's fast, it's quick. We're not sitting there beating you over the head with every kind of crazy fee and trying to hide stuff for you. We want to be upfront, let you know what you're getting, what you're paying for, and then ultimately get you that ride and get you on the road. And those folks, you see it all the time. We can look at a million different reviews, and I've been able to. Well, I've been there so far. I've been able to help some friends that really needed some help. And when you're helping someone that is looking for a new set of wheels that they really depend on, whether, like I said, whether it's just something fun and an update, or whether it's like, hey, my vehicle is not going to be able to take my child to the next doctor's appointment. I've got to do everything I can to get them in something that's dependable, and hopefully something that they can enjoy and that will last. And seeing that look on their face when they're smiling and they know this was a smooth transaction, it didn't take very long at all. They don't feel like they're being lied to. Everything's up front. They're totally aware of everything, and they've really, really had a lot of fun. Because we always like to joke and have fun and really get to know them. I mean, that's how you build your customer base in anything. From whether it's a restaurant to you name it. You gotta have that back and forth. You gotta have that rapport with your customers, and that's how we go about every day. And that's what we're looking forward to on the sales side.
Absolutely,
and that's it's a lot of fun.
Well, and you guys are very community driven. I mean, everything from like the pictures you mentioned to that iconic jingle that you can hear on KHJ or online. There's a lot of places where you guys are have a presence, and you make sure that you're putting out there into the community as well. You're supporting the community right back. Patriot itself has more services on top of just sales.
Absolutely.
What are some of the other things that you guys provide?
So with our dealership, obviously with any dealership, the first and foremost, the amount of money that you have laying on the concrete, laying on the blacktop is your vehicles, obviously with sales. But a key part of the back end is to have a good service, a good service program with some really good people in there working on the cars. So we've got a great parts department. We've got a great service department. We do some, we'll do regular oil changes, whatever you need. It doesn't really matter as far as what brand. That's why we sell so many different brands. We got some top techs, like some of our techs. I think we've got, bar none, some of the best in the area that can work on anything. And those guys, that they're very, very important to us.
Mm-hmm.
They are worth their weight in gold. We make sure we take care of them, we recognize them. We've got some guys that really, that's a hard job. That's, I'm sure, something that we can talk about here maybe later on with some of my past things with the community and the Garrett County leadership is techs are hard to come by. So when you have good ones that do a good job, that enjoy their job, that take care of our customers, that means a lot, because, that warranty is only worth so much. The warranties, if you can't work on the vehicles, then, what's the point? But from service, now we got a very large body shop. I've done a couple posts recently for our body shop to let folks know that, coming from 10 years with Enterprise, 80% of the people walking in my door were upset. They've gotten, they hit a deer, or someone backed into them, or got into an accident, went in a ditch. Well, when you're dealing with those insurance companies, a lot of insurance companies will have kind of a preferred body shop, if you will. And the biggest thing is for people to understand that you don't have to go to that body shop. You can choose another. It's your choice. You can, if you want to go to Patriot and talk to the guys back in the body shop there and go that route, you actually absolutely have that option. So we have a full body shop. We do we have our own detail guys. We don't offer details to customers yet. That might be something in the future. We'll see.
Okay.
We do partner with Unique Detailing. We utilize them, and we have a little partnership with them. They're out by Crossroads Church, kind of in the little area there.
Okay.
So that's a detail shop. I think they just won the Garrett County Best Detail Shop on the
nice. Good for them.
So, but yeah, I mean those are the basic services that we offer there at the dealership, and very proud of our team, and we got some really good people in there that know how to take care of folks and know how to get stuff done. So
now I understand you guys have doubled your footprint of your parking lot there.
Yeah.
So you guys just added a whole wing.
Yeah. So Mark and Paul purchased the property right beside us and added a large big blacktop area there for more parking. And yeah, it's more room, more cars, more people taken care of. So that's kind of the goal. We did have the other location that's down the road. We call it P2, Patriot 2. There's maybe some future things there. We're kind of weighing out what we could do there, and if it gets to the point where we got to utilize that location again, by all means, let's do it. So
yeah,
the more variety and the more amount of cars that you got out there for people to look at, I mean, you're gonna gain more business. That's just part of the game. If you got more to choose from, you're gonna have more folks giving you a phone call, swinging by, and we can offer a wider variety. So that's our game. I mean, we want to keep growing, keep pushing. So that's exciting for everyone, especially for the sales team. When you hear that from upper management and ownership of like, hey, we want to get more cars and more options and more stuff setting on the ground so we can sell a lot more. I mean,
variety is the spice of life.
Absolutely.
That's what they say.
Hey, absolutely.
Well, and I understand too that throughout the year you guys have a lot of incentives and reasons for people to come in and maybe look at, do I need a new vehicle, or maybe do I need to do an upgrade, or is there something on my horizon that I need to buy? Is there something I need to take a look at? So you guys have a lot of deals and incentives throughout the year to help bring people in. So we're going over the top of the year here. What can people look forward to that might bring them in to take a look at upgrading or buying that new vehicle?
Well, I mean, with the Stellantis group, with all of our brands, with most companies out there, manufacturers, they'll have incentives and rebates. Well, certain ones do. There's a few that don't. But with Stellantis and the new management, as far as the CEO and some changes they made there, they're constantly throwing extra cash and incentive and rebates. And those are all things that we can just take off the price of the car, which is great for the new vehicles.
Yeah.
And the more new vehicles we get out, obviously, in turn, we usually get some good trades in, so it's it's a great thing. We love selling both pre-owned and new. As far as the incentives and rebates, they continue to grow. Obviously, with vehicles, everybody knows that when they set too long, the price goes down. And that's the same with the manufacturers who, it's their cars. We buy them and they set there. So they need them to roll because they need to sell us more new cars, So
yeah,
they'll throw cash at it and they'll throw incentives. That's why we already, Patriot will already drop to invoice pricing, which is like an employee pricing, which, if you will, that's why some of the folks have probably seen me post that, we'll do employee. Some places will once a month, they'll do, we're doing an employee pricing this month. Well, at Patriot, it's every month. Like, we are going to get you in the vehicle. We're going to drop that to the invoice of what we paid for it. And then just go from there. So our goal is to sell, a certain number of new ones, and that's what we need to try to get at. And then ultimately through those new ones, we get some really nice trade-ins. And then from that, I guess another, not necessarily an incentive, but it is a plus that we offer. All of our vehicles go through what we call a certified pre-owned process. This is nothing that you have to pay for extra. We pay for it. We just choose to do this. So for a large majority of our vehicles, not all of them, but for a large majority of vehicles, we can do a pre-owned vehicle, we call it a CPOV. You'll see it on our websites, but a lot of the vehicles you'll see on the bottom. Certified pre-owned is a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty that goes from the original purchase and the pricing of the car. So, if you get a vehicle that's a couple years old and, let's say it was a lease trade-in or something that somebody traded in with 40,000 miles, typically you might have a little bit of powertrain warranty, but other than that, that's it. Well, with the CPOV, we go through a big inspection and check everything out. and put it in there. So then you'll get that continuation of a powertrain. It's a limited powertrain, but that's, obviously that's a very important part of the vehicle. Your engine and transmission. So that's on all the vehicles. The 100,000 mile one is on our branded vehicles. So if it's under 75,000 miles and it's a, Jeep, Ram, Dodge, Chrysler, then we can do that. With our non-branded, we have a CPO Go, and that program is a 3-month, 3,000 miles. So still a little bit of a peace of mind, And on top of that, of course, we have extended warranties through a really good company, very, very fairly priced, and just for a peace of mind. When you're buying a car, if you're buying a used one, there's always that, well, how did the person drive before and that sort of thing. So that's why, we go through a pretty lengthy inspection. And of course, everything goes in Maryland through a Maryland inspection. But those are just some things that we throw in for free. That's just a benefit for folks if you want to try to get into something a little different.
That's awesome.
With the new vehicles, I mean, we've had some huge incentives. Now, most of the ones that I've had videos on and did some videos on particular vehicles that just have been there. Maybe they've been there for 5 or 6 months, and it's time to go. Like we need the space for a new one. They'll throw some crazy numbers, especially when you take in our discount because it's all stackable. Yeah. We had just sold one to a good friend of mine and my wife's a car, and it had close to $5,500 worth of incentives from the manufacturer to drop that off of the sticker price, and then our discount as well on top of that. So when you start looking at that, that will get us into another conversation that whenever we're ready, as far as leasing, which is kind of like a weird, some people have no idea, but when you're buying a vehicle, as I stated before, it's a depreciating product. It will devalue over time, and your hope is to pay it off or pay a little extra and keep the mileage down. Everything counts, but unfortunately, and especially with the COVID debacle that the entire country went through, it's tricky, and a lot of folks are in over their head. They'll need a new vehicle because they're needing something bigger, or they need something else, or maybe it's starting to have a little bit of issues, and they don't really want to go down that rabbit hole, and then come to find out their vehicle's worth $10,000-$12,000 less than what I can give them as far as a top dollar. Unfortunately, that does happen. They call it rollover. And with those incentives on new cars, that's the really good push. Is if you let's say you owe $9,000 more than what your car's worth, and you go pick out a vehicle that, yes, it's been there for 4 or 5 months, but the manufacturers dropped some rebates and plus our discount. Well, now that covers up that deficit. So that's why they have them, and it's a fun thing when you can, like I said, when you can take care of some folks and get that taken care of. So there's never a bad time to buy. I mean, there's always incentives every single month. Coming from a different background as far as not being in an actual car dealership for years and years and years, there was always those things that I would think they were trying to say, or I would just assume from bad experiences at other dealerships in the past that, oh, that's just a lie and they're just trying to get you in to do this. Yeah, some of those things really come through, and they're not a lie. When we say, hey, come grab this deal because it might not last, well, forever, I always assumed, well, that's just a lie. They're just trying to get me in there. That deal will be there next week. Well, it won't. Like, they 100% every month change it up. Like, okay, well, this didn't sell. Well, now we'll put extra money on these vehicles, or whatever, whatever may have you. So those incentives do go away. Obviously, when you're getting into a later model, if it's a leftover type thing, there'll always be a little bit extra cash. But every now and then they'll do select cars. And those change every month. They'll change it up.
Oh, absolutely.
So it is something. If you are on the verge of pulling that trigger to get that vehicle, and it is one of those ones where it has select money.
Yeah, and I'm sure they
promise you it will very likely change the very next month. It's not going to be the same. So it's not us playing a game. That's just whether the money's there or not, or whether if we're selling a Ram and that Ram goes off of that select, well, then the next month, however much that was, will be at $1,500, $2,000. That money's gone. I can't get that back. So the price goes up a little bit. So,
and I imagine if somebody were curious on what the latest deals are, they could call you guys.
Oh, by all means. I try to keep things updated as much as possible on our inventory. But any one of our salesmen can easily find out, what it is. They try to post most of the stuff on our website. There are usually some things, but there's every now and then there's some extras. The good thing with Stellantis is they also, on many of our products, they have a brand loyalty. So if you have a Jeep Grand Cherokee and you want to trade in your Jeep Grand Cherokee on many of the new items, there will be extra money, and it can be anywhere from $500 to up to $2,000, to where they're trying to incentivize you to buy the new product. So and it's fun. I mean, and it's it is exciting. Prices are going down. That was one of the things I was going to bring up today. I guess I can hit on that now while we're talking about.
Yeah, let's talk about
it. So we have, we've changed some CEOs and stuff with our company. So it was a great time for me to jump in. Mark and Paul had been joking, going, "Hey, this is the time to come in," because, for folks that do follow or are aware, they're bringing the Charger back.
Yeah.
And the Charger is not going to be an EV. Nothing against EV for the folks that enjoy EVs. Unfortunately, Garrett County's not the best right now. I mean, there's some question. You can have that debate. We won't go down that road. We'll need a whole other podcast for that. But
absolutely, it's
just not in the market right now. It's just not what people, for the most part, purchase here, that live here year round. So they kind of, they've seen the numbers dwindling. That for most folks, if you're wanting to buy a Charger, or you're wanting to buy a Scat Pack or a Hellcat or something like that, like you don't want an EV. You want that big roaring engine. It's fun. It's exciting. You want the torque. You want the you want the sound. And they realize that. Same with trucks. We've brought the Hemi back. We've got a little badge that the CEO is calling the symbol of resistance, because everybody and their brother was you've got new trucks, brand new trucks from other brands that have 4 cylinders in them. Which just blows my mind to have a full-size truck with the same size engine.
Yeah.
Basically, that would be in grandma's little car, or a small little SUV. And they turbo it. Well, it's still a 4-cylinder, I mean, and they've brought the Hemi back. It sounds amazing. Anybody can check one of our videos. I've done a couple videos of the cold start of that engine, and they've really made it cool. Like, they've upped the cool factor. They brought back of hey, this is what people want. When you're thinking of a Hemi and a Ram, yes, this is what you want. There's that power. But on top of that, luckily the new CEO and the other people that have stepped up into different positions for each brand have realized that pricing was getting out of hand. It was getting crazy, and we're definitely not. No one's up to that crazy COVID number, but they've been bringing pricing down. I mean, drastically. The easiest thing to show, just to show apples to oranges, is if anybody out there is a Jeep Wrangler fan. I'm a Wrangler guy. I love Wranglers and Gladiators.
Yeah.
The 392, right? So it's a special edition Wrangler. They brought it out a few years back. They put the 6.4 V8 in it, and it sounds amazing. And it's a bad machine. It's on my wish list. It's so cool. I love a Wrangler, and it's got a big V8 like it should have, anyways. But the 392 is a special edition. They were $100,000 and up.
Wow!
It's an expensive vehicle. And up until a year ago, they were still a $100,000 vehicle. Well, they've tried to push and bring the Wrangler back to the forefront, where they've kind of let stuff. The old CEO kind of let it go and was really just pushing EV everything, and hybrid, plug-in hybrid this and plug-in hybrid that. Well, they brought this new guy in, and a couple other people have changed, and they want to bring the Wrangler back, and they want to bring it in the forefront. So therefore, they're doing these specials every single month for the entire year, with a new edition or a new Jeep that you can buy.
Oh, wow.
Which for Jeep guys, for Wrangler guys, it's crazy exciting.
Yeah.
And can't wait till the next drop. And it's the most recent one. The first one they did was a Moab 392, which you're expecting to be $100,000. Well, no, it's $79,000, so $80,000. And that's a significant drop. I mean, you're talking $20,000 that they dropped in a year. So immediately, the skeptics go, well, wait a minute, maybe this doesn't have what the other one had. However, it does. It literally, side by side, it's a new color and it's a new name, but it is exactly the same that they had a year ago. Now, unfortunately for the folks that went ahead and bought those $100,000 392s, I get it. That kind of sucks, because now your value is going to go down a little bit. But overall, for the community, for the country, if you will, that's positive. That's we're bringing stuff back to make it a little more affordable, and they're doing that across the brands on all of them, especially with Jeep. They're dropping the price and bringing them into a price point that they know they can sell, that we can be the leader, and that people are comfortable with. They're bringing the Cherokee back out. That we're really, really pumped about that. So that's a complete, even though it is obviously the name the Cherokee, they stopped making the Cherokee a little while ago. They just had the Compass and the Grand Cherokee, and then the Grand Cherokee L. Well, now they're bringing the Cherokee back. We're starting to place orders for them now. We're hoping in the spring. They pushed it back, which again, not to get too deep in the woods, is a really good thing because the current change in CEO and power wanted to make sure we did proper R&D to make sure we don't, every I don't care what company it is, a lot of times when you first bring something out, if you push it, all of a sudden there's an error, like, oh, there's a mistake or something, some kind of issue. So they've gone overboard on making sure they put the miles on all the test vehicles to see if there's going to be an issue. And now they feel comfortable. They're doing great. The new Cherokees are going to be a hybrid, not a plug-in hybrid. So just a regular hybrid, very similar to folks that, are familiar with like the Toyota hybrids that have been out forever, and some of the Fords, like the Ford Fusions back in the day and whatnot. So it'll be a full-on hybrid. It's a 4-cylinder 2.0. Really, really cool engine though. And they're already pushing like 36 miles to the gallon. So
wow.
Mid-size SUV. It looks cool. They've completely changed the look.
Yeah.
It almost looks like a mini Grand Cherokee, a little bit smaller. It looks really, really cool. I think it's going to look amazing. And yeah, they're pricing it right. It's going to be priced well. And you're going to get 36 miles to the gallon for a four-wheel drive vehicle. I mean, I think it's going to be huge.
This whole time I'm thinking of that old saying, you charge what the market will bear. Mm-hmm. And, I think the market, especially these last 2 years, has really proven things have inflated way out of control. Sure. So it's really cool to see a company kind of gearing back and saying, all right, let's take this back to basics and present a price that's a little more based in reality. Sure. So that's really cool to see, and I hope more and more companies end up going that way. I think
they're going to have to. I really think they're going to have to.
Oh yeah.
Realistically, there's when you start taking market share. I mean, everything in today's world is all market share. And if all of a sudden the market share starts going this way, well, everyone's going to have to do something to try to catch up. And the problem is can they? If they wait too long. So I think it's really exciting to get stuff down to where stuff's affordable.
Absolutely.
In quotation marks. I mean, we hear that every day. Like, well, I used to be able to buy a truck. Well, yeah, I get that. But realistically, this is where we're at.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're dropping prices and dropping significantly, I'm talking like multiple thousands of dollars just right off the bat, is a really exciting thing. I mean, and then on top of that, making stuff affordable, trying to do the best we can. Fed cut rates just recently again. Not enough in my opinion, but they still, at least they went down, so interest rates are going down.
Yeah, that's
so
good.
That's a
good sign.
You're finally seeing some decent rates coming back. So, and we're making cars. Our lot is full. If anyone's driving by there, we've pushed and said, hey, give us our vehicles that we've ordered. Let's go. And we've got them. I mean, our lot is full. We've got so many vehicles to pick from. It looks beautiful. When you drive by, it just looks awesome to see just a gigantic row of all these heavy-duty trucks. Again, I'm a Wrangler guy, so I made sure some big, cool Wranglers are out there. Got some big Rubicons and everything popped up front. And got some other stuff that's ordered coming in hopefully soon. And it's exciting. I mean, it's a really exciting time, I think, to be with our brand because they're finally coming back to their senses. I think they're the first one of all the manufacturers that were just going crazy. They're actually coming back to their senses of, hey, this is what Americans want. This is what people need. And we want to sell. Again, just like similar to the Patriot, our kind of motto and our kind of inkling of, hey, let's sell 50 cars versus holding so strong on 5. I think that's kind of where the manufacturer's going, hey, we'll just sell a lot. We won't make as much profit on either one, but either way, people will have our vehicle, they'll be in our product, they'll be familiar with it, they're going to enjoy it, and therefore you're going to build that brand. So I think it's an exciting time to be part of that. So
yeah, and it's really cool. You've got all these incentives and all these awesome pricing structures that just snowballs into something that can really benefit the people here of Garrett County.
Certainly.
And it kind of helps me segue into my next question here. For a lot of people, maybe buying isn't for them. Maybe more of a leasing structure is right up their alley. Do you guys do leasing as well?
Ooh, thank you for that segue. So yes, one of the things I wanted to bring up today was leasing.
Okay.
It was obviously coming from the boat world for multiple years, and then ultimately an enterprise rent-a-car. I didn't really deal with a lot of leasing, and I think it's something that it's not going to change. I mean, hey, maybe we change everything with the podcast today, and everyone will go, hey. When you start looking into leasing, a lot of folks have this kind of misguided distrust or like, no, this is stupid. You don't want to do that. However, if you look at some of like the richest people or some of the really, really smart rich people, they all lease. And you immediately go, oh, well, it's just because they're rich. Well, not necessarily. They're rich for a reason. They made smart decisions with their money, and with leasing, the world it's such a cool thing. Yes, you have to have decent credit. So obviously, for those folks that are interested in leasing and your credit's not great, start working on your credit, because you get the pushback from folks that want you to just own your car and don't have a car payment, which I get that. That's great for certain folks, and if that can work for you, awesome. It's not real for a lot of people. You're going to have a car payment, because cars eventually, especially if you're putting miles and you live in Garrett County, you're driving to Cumberland, to Morgantown, you're putting miles on a car. So a car will go bad eventually. It'll start having issues. To lease, 90% of the time, it is a lower payment than financing. There's a lot of incentives for leasing. They are pushing leasing very, very heavily with our brand. In particular, like the Rams, especially with the Jeeps. Jeep Wrangler leasing right now is just crazy. And they're just trying to push it.
Okay.
The biggest reason for that is you then help build your used market because people will trade them back in. Now, there's lots of, you can really get into the deep weeds as far as like what all the little ins and outs of leasing. But the benefit of leasing is you're only paying or leasing a portion of that car. When you go and you finance a vehicle, you're financing the entire amount. So then you're stuck with it. With a lease, you go in, you do a 2-year lease, you do a 3-year lease, whatever you want to do. At that time, when your lease is up, barring any, silly implications, like let's say you've went way over on your mileage, which be smart up front and pay for the mileage you think you're going to do, you're done. You can walk away. Now, yes, you can purchase the vehicle and there's usually some incentives and, hey, now I'm just going to keep this vehicle. Cool. Or, hey, you know what? I'm going to get something new. And there's lots of little rabbit holes you can go down there where it's a plus where, number one, if you're just done with the car, you don't like it, you can literally go, hey, here's a car, I'm done. And at that point in time, you no longer owe anything. It's all done. Where if you finance your car, you can't do that. You're stuck. If you trade it in, you can go have a dealer's like, we'll buy them from folks, even if it's financed, but you're only going to get what the trade-in value is, whatever that may be. Now, if you're lucky enough and maybe you had lower interest and you paid a little extra, then cool, maybe you get your money back. If not, you're upside down. Like I mentioned before, a lot of folks owe a little more than what their car technically is worth. With a lease, you don't have that. You can just walk away. With a finance, when you finance the full purchase of a car, you're kind of stuck in that. And for some folks, that's fine. Like I'm gonna have this car for the next 10 years. I'm gonna drive it till the wheels fall off. That's fine. Awesome. For other folks, that maybe every couple of years, I wouldn't mind having something different, or maybe a new color, or I want something fresh. Or what a lot of folks lease purpose for is the purpose of the lease, I should say. You're within that warranty. You're within that bumper to bumper for peace of mind. You get a vehicle, you run it for 3 years, you do roughly $12,000 a year. Now the warranty's up, and you're good. You can bring it back. On top of that, we have extra lease incentives to where if you trade that lease in and then go to another lease, pick out another vehicle, there'll actually be extra incentives that are stackable on top of that. So it actually lowers the price down. And a lot of those things you can hide, or I say hide, but cover up. So let's say you come in and you owe an extra $7,000 on your car than what it's worth. Well, if you go to a lease, you can roll that over into the lease, and that portion gets spread out, and basically when that 3 months is up, you're still done. Where if you've rolled that extra $7,000 or whatever into this new vehicle that you're financing for the life of the vehicle, you're stuck with that. It's not going away. So you're gonna be upside down on that vehicle if you try to roll it over a second time. Where when you roll it over to the lease, yes, maybe your payments go up a little bit more than what they've advertised on TV. However, in 3 months, so that's the quickest way to get out of when you're upside down on a vehicle, is to lease a vehicle. Because once that lease is over, you're done. You don't owe anything else. It's all put into the business. It's all put into the plan and into that payment of that car. So it's spread.
Okay.
So it's just a lot easier. And I think a lot of folks get really scared and, well, I don't own the vehicle. Well, I mean, unless you're cutting a check, you don't own your vehicle.
Yeah.
We'll use your Ram. I'm assuming you're financed.
Yep.
Okay. So you understand that even though that thing's registered to Connor Norman, that's the bank's truck.
Yep. That's true.
Until you cut that last check.
Yep.
And you get that clear title, that is not your truck. You're basically borrowing it. So leasing's the same. It's just that in 3 months, if you're like, hey, I don't want a truck anymore, you don't have to have a truck anymore. You can go Maybe I want a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Hey, I've seen those Gladiators. Those look cool. I don't need a big truck. Or maybe I need a bigger truck. In that 2 month or 3 month or whatever you sign up for your lease, now you can switch it up. Now you can go, you know what, I don't want this anymore. You know, I mean, some people assume and push it in there that it's just like a creature comfort of like, well, I just like to have a new vehicle every 3 years. Well, that's perfect for those folks as well. But for other folks, if you're going to have a car payment no matter what, why not decrease your monthly payment and then ultimately have an out in 3 months or 2 months or whatever kind of lease you sign up for, to where if you do want out of that car, you can get out of it. Or if you're like, I love this car and I want to run that sucker for the next 200,000 miles, then cool, then you can keep it. What most folks do is they trade them in. And that's why, and you'll see, and like when we purchase used vehicles, we do a lot of off lease, which they're great cars. You know, that they, for most folks, if you got a lease vehicle, you take care of it because you know in 2 or 3 months you're either going to trade it in or you're going to be done with it, that sort of thing. So they're well maintained, they're still under warranty. People take care of them. So it's really a win-win. I just think it's one of those things that folks, myself included, like I didn't know for the longest time, they're not aware of it. They don't know the ins and outs. It seems too complicated because there are some little, you know, my gosh, you get on social media and within 5 minutes you can have 20 different people telling you 5 different things. But if you really start digging in, the reason a lot of folks lease is because you have an out, and ultimately you can walk away from that car because after 3 years, maybe you are sick of it, or maybe, hey, you love it. That's fine. Or, you know, like, oh man, they brought out this new edition. Okay, well now in another year or two, whenever your lease is up, you're good.
Yeah.
So
now I can lease that.
It's a win-win.
And you know, it's funny. I know some people that literally by the time they run out of their free oil changes, they're on to the next vehicle.
Sure.
So it would make maybe a little more sense if they went to a leasing structure.
Absolutely.
Because again, you know, if you're constantly looking for the newest and the latest and greatest, and maybe a leasing gives you an opportunity to save a little more because, like you said, it's going to be a cheaper payment. Maybe it gives you an opportunity to save more, so that maybe for that vehicle you really like, you can cut the check for it, and then you don't have to do the financing option.
Absolutely.
Or if you do finance, maybe it's at a lower amount.
Sure.
So that's really cool to know about. I mean, I think I learned a little bit here, and I know anyone that's listening that may be uncomfortable with that process, so they can call and learn more.
Sure.
And speaking about learning more, you guys have a website, you have social media, you guys have a number. Give the people your contact information so that they can get a hold of Patriot and they can learn more.
Sure. So we are on Facebook. All you got to do is just type Patriot Chrysler Dodge Jeep. You'll see our page there. Obviously, with our website, it's Patriot Chrysler Dodge Jeep.com. We are on Instagram and TikTok. We're slowly running into those. We're with my new crew. We're trying to put out some funny videos. There's a couple of you may have seen.
I've seen a couple. My gosh,
we got a lot more to go, and we want to have fun. We don't want to just have for Christmas. Like with my guys, again, that's going back to what I originally said. Is we want to have fun. Our phone number 301-334-2137. We've got a couple other numbers that'll pop up on our website that'll go directly to sales or service, but that main number is the one to get a hold of us. You can reach out on Facebook, direct message us, all that sort of stuff. Give us a call. We're here to help. So that's what we're here. We're here to have fun and sell some cars. That's what we're, like you said, we're active in the community. We do a lot of things. Mark and Paul, the owners there, the Cornishes, they support a lot of local things. They're local boys, from here originally, and a lot of folks know, their family and all the, the history and that sort of stuff of all the different, places they owned, which is really cool. But we give back as well. I know we touched on it lightly, but I guess a little promo to the winter, I believe it's the Winter Classic that's coming up here at Southern for the basketball team. We are the main sponsor there, so I'm hoping we'll have a good turnout and some good games. They're bringing some schools in from downtown, down Baltimore way, and that one on. We're the number one, we are the top sponsor for that one. So we're hoping, we'll hope to have a good turnout. Hopefully the weather cooperates, but we'll be there to hopefully, present the trophy at the end of it. So it'll be a fun time. Looking excited for that too. So
that's going to be awesome.
So then, of course, we sponsor so many different sports teams and different, great organizations and nonprofits throughout Garrett County.
I don't think there's a parade that happens in this community where Patriot hasn't given a vehicle
100%.
to usually see the royalty on them. You see the princesses.
Just give us a call. Yeah, we've got quite a few. We got the got the magnets ready to go on the door, and just we'll hand you some keys. But yeah, I mean, we get a lot of stuff, and we partner with a lot of stuff. Something new that I'll mention is something that's coming downtown Oakland, which I think is really cool. I think it's more going to be like a kids museum or a kids play place, something for folks to bring kids in the afternoon and that sort of thing, especially for like inside during the weather, and have a lot of learning opportunities. And there's the sky's the limit for them. But it's a thing they're calling Play Out Loud. So Kaylee Livingood, I believe, is the one that's kind of heading that up. So we're actually going to be a sponsor there as well.
Okay.
It's really exciting there. I think for Patriot, we're going to sponsor the sandbox. We're going to have a bunch of Jeep Wranglers and Dodge Ram pickup trucks and lots of little toys. And we're probably going to have some events with them as well. Maybe some. We've talked with her actually yesterday. Not sure when this will come out, but we spoke with her yesterday and signed up, and we're going to also kind of participate, maybe do a couple events with some RCs, like some crawler RCs, like kind of get kids maybe into some RCs, some fun. So that'll be really cool once that's. She's hoping, I think, pretty soon to get that up and rolling downtown. It's in the old Rudy's location, which is really cool to see someone take such a
that is so awesome.
Store.
Yeah,
but I think that'd be really cool for a place to bring the kids, bring the little ones, have fun. They're going to try to make it a learning experience as well. So very, like I said, like a kids museum. We're hoping to push maybe some motors and some little, a lot of little learning things with some plastic motors with, tools and whatnot for the kids to tinker with and play with.
Yeah.
So a great opportunity, I think, for a lot of other places in the county to help and sponsor there. So we're excited for that.
Well, and shout out to Play Out Loud and Kaylee Livingood. That's going to be a newer business in our community here shortly. It's so awesome you guys are involved to help support that. It's going to be a great place for people to take their kids and families to go. I mean, you think about rainy day activities alone for kids. There's not a lot on the list. Here's a great way they can start getting in there. It sounds like they can jump in the sand, have some Patriot Jeeps and trucks to play with. That's so cool.
Start teaching them young, so have some fun. But yeah, we're really excited about that. I think that's what we do. I mean, we're active. I'm still active with the chamber as far as being a Garrett County diplomat. We've got a lot of things. This county's a great place to live. We all know that. So, and I don't think we pat ourselves on the back enough, even though we do a little bit. But everybody in this community is just it's a special place, and I think everybody knows that. So for Patriot to be able to continue helping and participate and be there for the schools and be there for anybody that needs some help, and it's a fun thing, and that's why it's exciting to come in every day, have some fun and sell some vehicles and help people out. So.
Well, that is spectacular. And Josh, thank you for coming in and giving us all this. I've learned a lot, and it's so cool to see how Patriot is so involved in our community and, of course, out there serving customers to the best of their ability. All the things you guys offer, all the information you've shared, I know somebody's going to take some value from that.
Hope so.
And we'll be reaching out to contact you shortly. One more time, let me hear that website, phone number, social media, so people that are interested can get a hold of you.
Sure. So the website is patriotchryslerdodgejeep.com. Facebook is the same. And the main phone number is 301-334-2137.
All right, Josh, so you know the deal. You've been on this podcast a few times before. At the end of every episode, I open up the mic to my guest. If there's any announcements, any extra you want to pepper in there before we close it up, what do you got to say?
Well, for all your vehicle needs, hit us up. We've got a large variety of new and used, certified pre-owned, all that good stuff. And if there's something particular you're looking for, we can try to find it, whether it be new or used as well. Something we want to push on that they came out as far as a leading in the truck world is we just now unleashed from the manufacturer from Ram on all 2026 1500s is a 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, which is the top one out there.
My gosh,
pretty cool thing. I think they're going to try to roll that out probably to the heavies here pretty soon. So yeah, really excited about that. And like I said, lots of options, lots of things out there, lots of incentives and rebates for anyone. So if you feel like you're upside down in a vehicle and you just know you're not going to be able to make it work, I promise you, we can work some magic for most folks and do it right and take care of you. So just give us a call, swing by. We got a great team that's there to take care of you and do the right thing and be a partner. So
Man, with that warranty got me thinking maybe a 26 is in my future. Hemi's 100,000.
We got some new colors. We got the Canyon Lake, that really dark green. It's beautiful.
Oh man,
the new Hemi sound amazing.
The good colors.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, well, and it's just like I said, they've got the new Hemi sounds amazing, and something else that I guess we didn't talk about is the 3.0 Hurricane is another strong contender.
Oh, yeah.
I'm usually not a huge V6 guy, but this is an inline six for the old school guys. I mean, I had a 1978 Chevy back in the day with an inline six. The inline six Hurricane engine is a proven power plant, and that thing is unbelievable. It literally, the amount of people we've put into a truck with that engine where they were skeptical, and we just say, hey, here's the keys. Go down the road really quick. When you get out of here, just kind of step on it. Blows their mind. Unbelievable amount of power. So smooth. Over 11,000 pounds of towing capacity out of that engine. So
oh my gosh,
you got multiple options. So lots of really cool stuff. And like I said, they're changing collars and doing all kinds of different fun things with the Jeeps and with the trucks. So hit us up if there's something special. If you see one of these new Jeep things out that you want to order, we'll make the pricing right. We're still not, we're not going to play a game and try to overcharge it. We're still going to give you that Patriot savings, that Patriot discount, because our goal is to make you family. And that's the Patriot way. So
awesome. It's such a great way to close it out. You might have a returning customer here very soon. But thank you so much to the General Manager of Patriot Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, Mr. Josh Slone, king of the four-wheel drive. You guys can learn more by going to their websites. And we want to thank you so much for tuning in to the Business B.E.A.R podcast. Be sure you're following us at our Garrett County, Maryland Department of Business Development Facebook page. We have a LinkedIn, an Instagram, and an X. All your favorite social media platforms. Be following along for opportunities to learn when more episodes of the Business B.E.A.R podcast drop, and of course, all of your local business info. So guys, thanks for listening along. We'll see you next time. This is your host, Connor Norman. We'll see you all on the other side.
Patriot Motor.